If you've been feeling a bit down lately, like you're really just surviving more than you are living, you have these goals and aspirations that you keep saying you want to work on and then they just don't happen, or maybe you're just in a bit of a slump and you want to get out of it. I know exactly how you feel, because it's how I feel at the moment, but I'm going to be using the next 3 months to change that. Recently, I've been seeing a lot of videos that talk about completely changing your life in 6 months. Disappearing, going monk mode, reinventing yourself, and coming back a brand new person. But 6 months sounds like a long time. And disappearing doesn't seem super realistic. I'm the kind of person who finds focusing on one thing for that long kind of difficult, so I'm going to be shortening the time frame. And rather than disappearing, I'm going to be taking you along with me. We're going to do this together. It's going to be fun. Or at least if it's not fun, it's going to be impactful. In its simplest form, our Change Your Life Challenge requires you to think of just one thing that if you committed to it over the next 3 months, it would have the most positive impact on your life. It could be a health goal, it could be something to do with general wellness or living a balanced life, it could be about setting and keeping your boundaries, maybe it's something related to finances, whether that's spending or savings, or possibly you want to learn a new skill. It's essentially just something that you can commit to over 3 months that's going to get you closer to the life you want to live. The intention really is to break us out of that cycle of setting these goals for ourselves, having these aspirations, and just never getting around to working on them. Putting them on the back burner, letting life get in the way, and never making the progress that we're capable of. The next 3 months are the time to take intentional steps towards those things and actually make progress. While of course in its simplest form, it only has to be one thing you're working on, if you're like me, maybe there are a lot of things you want to work on. So I'm going to be working on essentially as much as I think I can handle. While a lot of videos online focus on 6 months to change your life, and I guess there's a benefit of having a longer time frame. In theory, you could get more done, you can tackle more areas. I just think I'd lose focus, so by having a shorter time frame, it'll hopefully make me use that time in a better way. I'll be held accountable because I don't have as much time to waste. While in theory, changing our lives in 3 months sounds good, how do we actually do it in practice? Well, there are really only 3 steps we have to take, which are plan, do, and document. Breaking those down just a little bit further though, because the one-word descriptors aren't really that instructive. In terms of the planning stage, this is just really figuring out what we want to do to change our lives. What goals do we want to work on? What projects do we want to complete? And thus what tasks do we need to do or actions do we need to take in order to get there? This planning stage is not just identifying what we want to work on, but also how we're going to work on it. So maybe loosely scheduling what we're going to do in the first of the 3 months. What are we going to do in the second or the third? You can break this down further and think about placing certain tasks or actions within each day or within each week. We don't need a perfect plan here though, because oftentimes perfection will hold us back from taking action, and the entire point of the challenge is to take action. Which is actually what the second step is, do. This is where we get the stuff done. This is often the part of a lot of goals and projects where we kind of fall down. We have a plan in place, we know in theory what we have to do, we just don't do it. But not this time. That is the point of the challenge. We are actually going to take action and actually going to make progress. While we're doing these things though, we want to make sure that we're being mindful of the progress we're making, because oftentimes when we're in the thick of it, in the weeds of getting everything done, it can feel like we're just treading water and not really making any progress. And that's why documenting our progress as we go is so important. This could be progress photos, it could be checklists that you keep track of, it could be social media posts if you want to, or what I'm going to be doing is making weekly vlogs and sharing those on the channel, not only to hold myself accountable to getting all of the things done that I want to, but also to take you along with me. Because remember, we're doing this together. When it comes to working on a project like this, the first step is really to pick what you want to work on. Now, this is going to be a very personal choice. What you want to work on in the next 3 months is completely up to you, because you best know what is going to change your life, what things are going to have the most positive impact. But I also do like working from examples, so I have written myself out a list of things I want to work on. I'm very much taking a kind of like shoot for the moon, land among the stars approach here. So will I get all of these things done? Probably not, but I'm gonna try, and it'll be cool to see how much progress I can actually make. The categories I'm looking to change my life in are physical health, mental health, work, social connection, decluttering, finances and personal development, And they're in absolutely no order because I just brainstormed these onto the page just to get the thoughts out of my head. It doesn't need to be pretty, it does not need to be perfect, it just needs to be written down because this is part of my documentation process. Starting with our physical health category, I know that I definitely, over these next 3 months, want to commit to losing weight. This is something I've already kind of started working on this year. It's something I say I'm going to work on every year, but this year it seems to actually have gotten going, so I want to make sure that I maintain that. And while I don't really like setting hard targets to my weight loss, mainly because it is so out of our control, I figured that for the purposes of our 3 months Change Your Life challenge, it would be good to have something to measure against. So the target that I'm setting for myself is 10 kilos, mainly because it's a lot easier to do percentages when you're working with a goal of 10. Do I think it will actually happen? I mean, I hope it'll actually happen, but I don't want to count our chickens before they've hatched here. I want to maintain my daily exercise goals. I've been doing a pretty good job of it so far, and I want to make sure that I stick to that. It would be so cool to beat my previous record of 65 days in a row. Currently, I think I'm on day, like 20 maybe? So by the end of this challenge, I should be into the hundreds. That would be kind of exciting. The third thing that I want to do for my physical health though is improve my flexibility. I've been noticing that as I'm getting older, movement is a little bit more challenging, like getting down onto the floor and back up off the floor if I don't know, want to sit cross-legged on the floor or something like that. Doesn't happen often, but when it does, it isn't very comfortable. I was never a super flexible person, but I have noticed some stiffness creeping in, and I'd like to remedy that now. Spend the next 3 months intentionally working on that. Another physical health goal that I have on my list though is increasing my daily step count average to over 8,000. This is going to be quite a change for me because like at the start of the year, my average for each day was like 2,000. I've managed to edge it up to about 7,000 currently, but getting it to 8,000 means I am going to have to be getting more movement in my day, but I think I can do it. I'm feeling optimistic about it. I'm feeling optimistic about everything right now. I'm just really excited. Along with physical health, I also have mental health as a category, and the first one probably doesn't really seem like a mental health goal, but it is getting our shower fixed. It has been leaking since March, which means we haven't been able to use it, which is very frustrating, and I know that it would be a very big burden off my mental load if that one was done. Right now, my walls and my ceiling have a bunch of holes in them because they were trying to find the source of the leak. They still haven't found it. So in the next 3 months, I would like to do everything within my power to get that thing wrapped up and finished and fixed. I would like it fixed. Another mental health goal that I have though is sticking to a proper sleep routine. Getting better rest is something that I have been meaning to work on for a while, and I keep telling myself I'm going to work on it and then it doesn't really happen. So I'm committing to it over the next 3 months. I've also had it on my list this year that I wanted to try and start or actively try meditation, so that one has gone down on my list. I don't know what type of meditation I'm looking for right now, but I've heard so many good things about how it can be positively impactful, so I want to give it the good college try. Another one that is going to improve my mental health is having a dedicated day off work each week. I've been trying to do that so far this year and have just let it slip week after week after week. So committing to having at least one dedicated day off, I think would have a really positive impact. I'm a bit of a workaholic, and I know that's in part because I like what I do, but we need to have rest as well. Yes, I'm telling myself this, but also we need to have rest as well. One that I feel is kind of ambitious, but I still want to try doing it, is finishing or scrapping all of my future me problems. These are those tasks that you tell yourself you want to do at some point and you put them on your task list to do eventually one day. Well, in the next 3 months, someday will be today because I'm going to either do them or get rid of them. Another goal that I'll be tackling, which is going to have a positive impact on my mental health, is not opening social media first thing in the morning. That is my default. It's like alarm goes off, tell it to stop, then whip out my phone and go on Instagram or Discord or YouTube. It used to be Facebook. I hid the Facebook icon, so I don't go there anymore. But it would be nice to not have that be the first thing I do in the morning. Maybe give myself like an hour until I open a social media app. I think that would be really positive. Along with mental health though, another category I have is work. And the first item I have on here is releasing 2 digital products. Given the fact that I've been trying to release just one this year and it still hasn't happened, maybe tackling 2 at the same time is biting biting off more than I can chew, but that's kind of the point of the challenge. It's a challenge. Now, as said, you do not have to have as many things on your list as I do, but shooting for the moon, land among the stars, I'm gonna see how many of these things I can get done. I do already have in mind what those 2 digital products are gonna be, so there's at least that to start, but it would be really cool to have both of those formally released by the end of the 3 months. I would like to get both the newsletter and the podcast sponsored. If you weren't aware, I have a weekly newsletter. We talk about one tiny actionable tip that you can apply to the week to help you live a more productive and organized life. And in terms of the podcast, that one is called the Planner Pals podcast. It is, funnily enough, with my planner pal, Mark. We've been doing it for almost a year and a half now, and I think it'd be really cool to get sponsorships on those episodes, mainly because at the moment it is much more of a hobby than it is a work task. So it'd be nice to kind of like formalize and solidify that. One that I think is going to be hugely impactful for my work-related goals is condensing my work days. Now, I've worked for myself for the last 3 years, and while one of the benefits of working for yourself is picking your own schedule, I feel like I haven't done that with intention. I've kind of just fell into a routine of when I work, and when I work seems to be all the time. While of course this is because I like my job and I like what I do, it isn't great for making sure I'm living a balanced life, so I effectively want to overhaul my weekly schedule and kind of start again, build from the ground up. Give myself more intentional blocks of time to have rest and connection time and just live a more balanced life. At this stage, I'm not too sure what that's going to look like, but I'm excited about the possibilities of it. The final goal for work though is to get on top of my emails because it continues to be a problem area for me. Like, I'm always playing catch up and I just don't want to be in that space anymore. When it comes to social connection though, the first goal that I have on here is setting up weekly date nights with Vogel. This is something that Vogel and I have said for years that we wanted to do. Like, we really wanted to make that part of our regular weekly routine, and we're edging towards it happening. Like, we've at least gotten to one a month, which is kind of exciting, but we're still a fair way off one a week. It would be nice to make that something we actually are actively doing come the end of the 3 months. Our second social one is getting married, which technically is already scheduled. Like, I already knew it was going to be happening. Well, I hope it happens, knock on wood. As long as everything goes according to plan, by the end of the 3 months I will be married. I feel like even just saying that is putting bad juju out into the world. It's gonna be fine. It'll be fine. That one's scheduled for the end of August, so I'm gonna be working on that while I'm working on everything else. I told you, I like to bite off more than I can chew, and then chew it. Another social one is to have one genuinely memorable social event per month. Now, I feel like this might be a bit of a cop-out because at least one of those is going to be our wedding, so that takes out 1 month. And then another month, I think we've got my hens do type thing, bachelorette party, so that kind of takes out that one. But then there is also September. I don't have anything planned for September, and I would like to have something there that is memorable, special, exciting. Another thing that I really want to work on throughout this challenge is decluttering. I want to do a full declutter of my house, and in particular, I want to declutter my journaling supplies. This is the space in terms of my decluttering that I pretty much always avoid because I always seem to just justify keeping the things. I just want to let some things go. To go along with my physical declutter, I would also like to do a digital declutter, both on my computer and my phone, to make sure that I don't have things kicking around in there, taking up space that really doesn't need to be dedicated to those things. And also getting rid of apps or bookmarks or whatever else that aren't serving me. Like, they're just kind of enforcing bad habits or something like that. As for finances though, the first one I have on here is probably a bit of a stretch, but I want to get our savings to the next 10K milestone. I'm already part of the way there, but getting to that next milestone would be really cool to hit in the next 3 months. Of course, I am in a dual income family, we do not have children, my financial situation is different to yours, and I'm also working in New Zealand dollars. But I still have to save 7,000 New Zealand dollars. I think in part the decluttering project might help with this though, because I could sell some items off if, you know, they're still in good quality. I'm not going to sell off rubbish, but that could help with that goal, so maybe. The other finance goal I have though is paying for our wedding without dipping into our savings, especially because I'm trying to get to that next 10K milestone. I feel like these two goals kind of work in tandem with each other. Like, I'm not deducting from my savings, which means I'm not going to then have to earn more back to try and add it back to my savings, but that also means that I'd need to earn more money, or spend less money. That's probably more likely. I need to spend less money. The next general category I have is personal, or like personal development. So I want to read 3 self-help books, mainly because I have so many on my list that I keep saying I'm gonna read, and then I don't get around to it. I figured that 1 per month is probably a pretty good amount to aim for. I just need to pick the specific books and make sure they're targeting areas that I actually want to develop in. Along with that, I also want to start an offline hobby, because what's typical on my channel is journaling content, which was my kind of main hobby, and now it's become my work. So I want to have a hobby that is not work. Preferably a creative one, but we'll have to wait and see what I get up to. It's quite a laundry list of tasks, and also a lot to do when you're also planning and having a wedding, but I'm really excited about the possibilities. Like, these are things that I keep putting on the back burner, keep saying I want to do at some point, and just never getting around to. So dedicating the next 3 months to making sure they actually happen, life is going to look so different in 3 months' time. Let me know if you're going to be doing this challenge with me. I would love to have you along for the ride. And if so, what is going to be the one thing, like the highest priority thing, that you're going to commit the next 3 months to? For me, it's probably my health-related goals. I really do want to make sure that I'm solidifying those routines that are just going to serve me really well for the future. But I'm of course hoping to make progress in all the other areas as well. Be sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on the progress logs that we're going to have throughout the challenge, and let's get to it.